This video is going to go through the Chapter 7 practice test. The first question, state the vertical and horizontal asymptotes, state the domain and range, and then determine which graph represents I don't like the wording here. Oh my goodness. I'll fix that wording on the test. It should say basically like which graph represents this function. Okay, the vertical asymptote is where the bottom of the fraction equals 0. So you may want to make note, the vertical asymptote is where the bottom equals 0. The x value that would create a 0 on the bottom. So you really need to take this 2x minus 8 and put it equal to 0. And then solve that and get 4. So if x is 4, the bottom would equal 0, and that can't happen, so your vertical asymptote is x equals 4. And actually, if you want to go straight down to part 2, 4 makes the bottom equal 0. We can't have that, so the domain is all real numbers except x can't equal 4, so you'd type 4 in. On this one, you'd click here and choose x equals 4 from the list. The horizontal asymptote for this type is the a value divided by the c value. So that would be this -4 divided by 2, which is -2. Oops, that's really messy. So y equals -2. Really on these, you need to remember Vux and Hoy to remember that the vertical asymptote is x equals, the horizontal asymptote is y equals. And then again, if y equals -2, that's an asymptote. That means your function can't equal -2, so y can't equal -2. Part C, which I have to scroll a little bit, we are looking for that graph, and I resized them a bit so we can see them all at the same time. It has to have a vertical asymptote at 4. So vertical asymptote at x equals 4 and horizontal asymptote at y equals -2. So vertical asymptote at +4, that would be not this one and not this one. These two, it looks like they both have a vertical asymptote at 4. Horizontal asymptote at -2. This one looks like it has a horizontal asymptote at 2, so that's not right. This one at -2, so that one would be correct. And on the test, I will try to resize the graphs a little bit so that you could actually like see them like on your tiny screen without like scrolling multiple times. I'll try to make that question a little bit easier to see. Simplify the expression. This is where we get into factoring. So on the top, we need to factor x squared minus 25. That factors into x plus 5, x minus 5. That's a difference of 2 squares. On the bottom, we need to factor x squared minus 2x minus 15. So we are looking for two numbers that multiply to give us -15 and add up to -2. That would be 3 and -5. So x plus 3, x minus 5. Cancel out the common factors on the top and the bottom, and our final answer is x plus 5 over x plus 3, which would be that one. Determine the values that x can't equal. Now we know from here that x can't equal -3. We can see that that is assumed. The one that we can't see anymore is this one. So because we crossed off x minus 5, we have to include that x can't equal +5. So here, x can't equal +5. Whatever factor you crossed out when simplifying part A, that's the x value that the function can't equal. Determine the product. We need to factor, cancel, 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 cancel. So if we factor this piece, it's just two terms. They both have 5x. So 5x in common, x plus 1. Then this part. We are looking for two numbers that multiply to give us a -18 and add up to -3. 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6, 3 and 6. If we did positive 3 and negative 6. Now we need to factor x squared plus 4x plus 3, two numbers that multiply to give us 3. The only way to do that is 1 and 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. And then 10x cubed, it's just 10x cubed. Okay, now let's work on canceling. X plus 1 cancels, x plus 3 cancels. 5 divided by 10, 5 over 10 is 1/2. So you can divide the top by 5, you can divide the bottom by 5. This x is going to cancel out one of the 3 x's, leaving us with 2 left over. So there's still x squared on the bottom. We also still have x minus 6 on the top. Now, do you really need the parentheses and the 1? No, this is x minus 6 over 2x squared. That answer. Okay, again, determine the values that x can't equal. Look at what you crossed off. We crossed off x plus 1 and x plus 3. So x can't equal -1 and x can't equal -3. The x values that make those pieces equal 0, the pieces that you crossed off, that's the stuff that x can't equal. On question 4, this is a division problem. You have to start with keep, change, flip. So keep the first fraction the same. Change the sign to multiply. Flip the second one. So I've got x squared minus 2x minus 3 over x squared plus 2x minus 15. All right, now we need to factor. And really quick, I'm going to check all of my signs, make sure I didn't mistake any of my signs. I think I'm good. So, looking for two numbers that multiply to give us 4 and add up to -4. That would be -2 and -2. On the next one, we need two numbers to multiply to give us -3. The only way to do that is 1 times 3. They need to add up to -2. If you're adding to a negative number, the bigger number needs to be negative. So it's a -3 and a +1. This one, the only way to multiply to get 2 is to do 1 times 2. And because we're adding up to a negative, the bigger number needs to be negative. And, oh, what color have I not used? There we go. To multiply to get -15, that is usually 3 times 5. We're adding up to a positive number, so the bigger number needs to be positive. Now we need to work on canceling common factors. So I see that the x plus 1 cancels. One of the x minus 2's cancels. And x minus 3 cancels. So our answer is x minus 2 over x plus 5. Determine the values that x can't equal. Remember, you are looking at the factors that you crossed off. Okay, we can look at this answer and say, well, obviously, x can't be -5. But what we don't know is the factors that have been crossed off from the original problem. So if x plus 1 was an original factor in the denominator, x can't equal -1. X minus 2 was crossed off, so x can't equal +2. And x can't equal 3. And I just realized that there's a mistake on this practice test because there's only 2 things for you to enter here. I will make sure on the actual test that you have enough boxes to type all of these in. X can't equal -1, x can't equal 2, and x can't equal 3. Okay, determine the sum. This is where we need to get common denominators. So our first step is going to be to factor any denominator that needs to be factored, like this one right here, x squared minus 3x minus 10. Two numbers that multiply to give us 10 would be 2 and 5. We're trying to add up to -3, so the bigger number needs to be negative. Then I'm going to give myself some space and write plus 4 over x minus 5. Okay, play the matchy game. Both of these have x minus 5. The first one has x plus 2. So to make them match, this one needs x plus 2. You have to put it on the top and the bottom. Now, our common denominator is x plus 2, x minus 5. Ignore the denominator now and just focus on the top. We've got 4 plus that thing. We've got 4 plus 4x plus 8. Combine your like terms. That's 4x plus 12 on the top. Did I do my math right? I did my math right. And on the bottom, we have x plus 2, x minus 5. So if you're looking at this answer and thinking, I don't see this answer over there, definitely look at options C and D. Do you see how they're factored? So what do 4x and 12 have in common? You can divide both of those by 4. So 4 times x plus 12 divided by 4 is 3. And that will lead you to your correct answer. So 4 times the quantity x plus 3 over x minus 5, x plus 2. The order of those bottom parts does not matter. Okay, for the difference problem, this one is partially done for you. It's already factored, which is nice. So we've got x squared minus 10 over x plus 7, x minus 3. Change that to plus a negative and put that in parentheses. So we're going to do plus negative x minus 2. Okay, they both have x minus 3. This first one has x plus 7, so this one needs x plus 7. Okay, here's the tricky part about this one. On the top, on the right side, we are going to have to double distribute. So our common denominator is x plus 7, x minus 3. We've got x squared minus 10, and then we are going to have the result of this, which I'm going to highlight, or I'm going to circle this in pink, and I'm going to show all of that work right here. So if you want to try to work this out on your own, I'm going to pause the video and work this all out and then show you my answer. Okay, I ignored the negative at first, and I just focused on multiplying these out. So x times x, all of this stuff to get these 4 terms. I combined like terms, then distribute the negative in. So then we have negative x squared minus 5x plus 14. Okay, now notice all of these have the correct denominator. We need to find the correct top. So the x squared and the negative x cancel each other out. We've got negative 5x and plus 4. Negative 5x plus 4, that looks a lot like this. If you were to factor a negative out, it would be positive 5x minus 4 on the top. So that's how that A problem gets there. Okay, the rest of this is going to be on video 2.